Hi, could this be the end of Windows XP, really? Well, it finally happened. After 13 years, Windows XP was introduced in 2001, and now Microsoft is drawing the line and no longer supporting Windows XP. It's like some teenage rite of passage. It's being thrown out from the protective security wing of its parents out of the house, and it's being sent out into the world unsupported. Sometimes we need to do that with our kids, I guess. Microsoft got tired of XP living at home. Anyway, I'm Arnie, old computer guy. I own OnTrack Computer in East Hampton, Connecticut in the U.S. And over the years, I've personally fixed and upgraded 10,000 computers or more since 1997. In our business, we have over 1,000 consumer and business customers that we think of as our family. Bottom line, call us with your questions. We'll listen, we'll give you some solid advice to help you make the best decision for you, and we'll do it on your budget. So let's have a look at what this Windows XP decision might mean to you as a home user or as a business user with computers that are still running Windows XP. First, let's establish that just because something is no longer subject to monthly updates on the first Tuesday of the month, which is what just changed about Windows XP, it doesn't make XP useless or bad. It just means that no one is proactively improving it or keeping an eye out for security flaws. We know that after 13 years and hundreds of millions of installations, Windows XP has proven itself to be a lean, mean, and extremely reliable and solid operating system. I love it. It's survived on the street. It's endured. It's come out robust and efficient. It works great. So let me help you look at a few issues and answer a few questions for yourself. Questions about your computer, about Windows XP and where to go from here, and potentially the need to upgrade. If you're a business, pay particular mind to the end of this recording because there are a few additional concerns that you need to look at that might be quite important for you. So let's begin. First topic. The marketplace of computers, equipment, and software is kind of a frenetic one. It changes almost daily. I know I've been in this silly business for a long time. The first issue I'd like to examine is one about hardware, which is the actual computer box or laptop that you're using to potentially be running Windows XP. A dozen years ago, when XP came out, the required equipment was quite a bit leaner and quite a bit different than what you might go to the store and buy today. Here's a few numbers. Windows XP ran comfortably using a processor, which is the brain, going at a speed of 2.4 gigahertz. I'm not going to go into what that means, but just remember the number 2.4 as the speed of the computer. And computer memory, which is the processor's companion, was in the range of 1/2, maybe up to 1 gigabytes. So that's, again, a number to remember. Back in XP days, we're looking at maybe 2 to 2.4 gigahertz as a speed, and 1/2 to 1 gigabytes of memory as a standard back then. But let's fast forward to today. Windows 7, Windows 8 is accustomed to processors that group their processing capability into many pieces that are kind of subdivide the work, sort of works as a team. These are called cores, and processing speeds today can get up into the 8 or 12 or even 16 gigahertz range. Remember back 12 years ago, that was only 2. So the number's gone from now 2 to 8 or 10 or 12 or 14. And memory-wise, we routinely use 4 to 8 times the memory of days gone by when we were getting by under 1 gigabyte. So, in a nutshell, that means that today's computers might be 8 or 10 times faster than one from 2001. And if you think about it, there really aren't that many things that have increased tenfold in a dozen years. We're not, for example, driving 10 times faster on the highway. And many of us, probably most of us, are not earning 10 times what we did just a dozen years ago. I know for sure my banks and investments and bank accounts have not increased tenfold over the last 10 or dozen years. So computers are unique, and that's my point. So taking the first issue here, even though your computer might still run Windows XP with its original or even upgraded equipment, it probably won't do too much else. Computers need to play in today's world of software and printers and internet browsers, and those all assume that you have more speed and power than you would need just to run a basic Windows XP operation there. So if you're doing some basic word processing or business accounting or maybe a little emailing on an XP machine, you might squeeze by with another year or so. But otherwise, in general, just for hardware reasons, it might be time to upgrade, irrespective of this Windows XP thing. If you're still using a computer that's over 5 or 6 years old, please understand that in terms of this industry, that it is at the end, even beyond its useful life, hardware-wise. Now, some of you may get mad, and I know it sounds crazy. You'll say it may still work, and it works perfectly, but trust me, I've fixed, as I said, 10,000 computers or more in my business during the last 16 years, and it is inevitable that things will fail. Hard drives, power supplies, cooling fans, all that stuff is going to break, and they all involve moving parts. And to repair these, you'll be investing good money after bad money, only to end up with a brand new 6 or 7 year old computer. That doesn't make sense. So the good news is that today computer prices have really come down, and they represent, in my opinion, one of the best values in the marketplace of anything that we could buy. A solid new computer, as an example, including our services to transfer your old data and back it up and put it on the new one. The whole package is usually well under $900. So with an average useful life of, just to pick a number, 5 years, that puts your investment in a new computer somewhere in the $15 a month range. Another way of looking at that is that it's 2 quarters, 50 cents, a day. And this is such a silly, small amount of money for what we get back for being connected to the world of internet searches and social media like Facebook and Tumblr and Instagram, and the world of news and CNN and sports and YouTube and email and being able to get directions whenever you want, and on and on and on. You get it. 50 cents a day. So if your computer is actually older than 6 years old, with or without Windows XP, it might be time to upgrade and just treat yourself to the advantages of newer technology. As I've said before, at my business at OnTrack Computer, we've been helping our family of customers to make those intelligent upgrade decisions that fit within their budget, and we'll be glad to speak with you and perhaps help you to do the same thing. So the second point, we've pared down now our discussion to newer computers that might be running Windows XP, but there probably aren't too many of those. Microsoft introduced Vista in 2007, and that was the replacement for Windows XP. So that means that any new computers that you might have purchased during the past 6 or 7 years have not had XP in them. And that's about the useful life of a computer. So if you do have a new computer and you are using Windows XP, we're probably left having this discussion with people who have custom built a computer or added Windows XP manually. And I'm going to suggest that that's probably a small group of people. Probably doesn't affect too many home users. And again, let's just talk about your specific needs. But probably not too many of you that actually are still using Windows XP on a computer these days that is actually new hardware. So third point I wanted to make is directed at people who are in business, who might still be using Windows XP. And there's two important areas of concern here. Many businesses in their back room, and we have many business clients, we see that they have computers with very simple software needs. Windows XP is ideally suited. It's just to do some basic things. It runs lean and mean, and assuming that you have relatively new hardware, there are a lot of Windows XP machines kicking around in the back room of businesses doing basic business accounting. They use them for perhaps a little bit of email, word processing, spreadsheets, things like that. Just business number crunching. And assuming that the hardware, the computer equipment, is well maintained, these internal or backroom installations are probably okay. if they're performing their intended use, but you just want to keep an eye on not using really old equipment. It's just unnecessarily slow, and it's a risk of something going wrong and putting your business in jeopardy being without that. But there is one new issue for businesses that it's important that we discuss. Since Windows XP had its support withdrawn by Microsoft, it's now in the industry classified as what they call an unsupported operating system. And because of that, it's picking up some new and perhaps negative attention, but at least something that you ought to look at if you are a business owner or if you're using Windows XP computers in business. There are 3 industry standards that are newly affected by this sort of sunset of Windows XP, and they are the first is called PCI. It's the Payment Card Industry Security Standards, and this is the group that sets security standards for credit card processing. So that's PCI. The second is called HIPAA, HIPAA, and it stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And these are regulations that are involved with businesses regarding patient privacy, primarily in the medical records industry. And the third is called SOX, S-O-X, and it's short, that's an abbreviation for Sarbanes-Oxley, which is the act of Congress that came up with these regulations. And these are imposed on anyone in the financial services business. So investments, banks, things like that have to comply with these regulations. So again, SOX, S-O-X affects transactions in the financial industry. PCI affects merchants who use and accept credit cards. And HIPAA affects medical offices that handle confidential patient records and information. And if you use XP machines that no longer have approved security updates, you are now considered in these 3 areas with these 3 organizations to be non-compliant in your business. And if you have any interest or association with any of these areas, I would suggest that you very, very quickly make a concerted effort to take a look at upgrading, because the effect of violating laws and the implication of violating some of these laws in these areas is going to far exceed any of the small costs of upgrading, and it could be potentially devastating and disruptive to your business. As an example, picture a retail business that suddenly was told by their credit card processor that they could no longer accept MasterCard and Visa and Discover and American Express. So essentially in these markets with these 3 compliance organizations, there's a huge liability for being non-compliant. And remember that these include not only computers in the back room or so maybe running Windows XP, but a lot of point-of-sale computers, which are kind of hybrid computer cash registers, are also based on Windows XP. And these might handle credit card transactions on the floor of a business, as customers make purchases. So the risks with this are way too high to fool around with. We're experienced, we're experts in advising you in this about some of your upgrade options. We can be sure that your data is accurately and confidentially and efficiently transferred to new compliant equipment, and we would suggest that you take a look at that pretty quickly. On a final note, for those do-it-yourselfers, Microsoft has a fairly complex chart, inside the computer industry of what it calls upgrade paths. And an upgrade path is the route or the possibility of upgrading from one operating system, such as Windows XP, to another, such as, let's say, Windows 7 or Windows 8. Unfortunately, these upgrade paths are complex, they're not easy to understand, they're not particularly straightforward, and certain versions actually are not upgradable directly to others. As an example, there is no version of Windows XP that is directly upgradable to Windows 7 or Windows 8. So we're familiar with these complex issues, and we can help guide you to find an upgrade solution if you do have an XP machine that works for you and stays within your budget. But I have a favor to ask you. please, please, please don't go out and do it yourself and buy upgrade software locally or online or whatever, because there's an incredibly good chance that it will not be compatible with your version of XP. Often, another downside is that these purchases of upgrade packages of Windows 7 or Windows 8 are often not returnable once you buy them or open them, and you definitely don't want to buy that stuff twice. They're $100 a pop, and you can very easily lose any benefit of doing it yourself by doing it wrong yourself or buying the wrong product. So it's our job to know this stuff. Upgrades are one area I believe where doing it yourself can be quite costly if you don't get it right. So here's my summary. We're talking about Windows XP. There's 3 issues. First, using old and outdated computer equipment, period, is not cost effective, since the value of today's computing power is so enormous. So if your equipment is getting tired, give us a buzz. Let us help you back up and transfer your important files, your music, your photos, and to help you find a new computer that meets your needs and budgets. At the end of the day, it's just going to be, like I said, a couple of quarters a day, pennies a day. Second point is that Windows XP hasn't even been available on new computers since 2007, so that means that if you are using Windows XP on a new computer, you probably have some kind of customized installation, and we invite you to contact us, give us a call, email us with your specific needs, because you're kind of outside of the mainstream there. If your needs are simple, like maybe emailing, just business accounting, word processing, you might still be able to squeak by with an XP system. It's certainly a possibility. But most people today are pretty heavy internet users. They're using streaming video, stuff like Netflix and YouTube, and they're just using a lot of social media. And most of these people would most likely benefit from looking at an upgrade. The third point that we wanted to make, and that's very, very important if you're a business owner, is that you need to take stock and evaluate not only your equipment using Windows XP, but also potentially your point-of-sale registers that use Windows XP, and be sure that you're compliant with PCI for credit cards, SOX for financial services, and HIPAA for medical offices. You might be non-compliant with an XP machine in these 3 arenas, and that could have some dire and very expensive consequences for you. So, my company at OnTrack Computer, we specialize in personalized service. All our work is done by certified trained technicians. We don't hire nerds for minimum wage. We listen. We speak English to people. We don't talk geek. And we're business specialists. We've been around since 1997. We'd love to speak with you about your specific situation, your needs, your budget, your concerns. Contact us. There's an email below. And we look forward to meeting you and helping you. I hope that this video has been helpful, at least in bringing to the table some of the things that you may want to consider in your upgrade choice. So thanks again for listening. This is Arnie, Old Computer Guy. And look forward to hearing from you. And whatever your journey with Windows XP, I hope that it's very, very pleasant, and that any upgrades or changes that you make go very smoothly. Thanks a lot. Look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.